As the sun sets on day one of Intersolar Europe 2016, James Watson is the CEO of SolarPower Europe. James, a lot of discussions today about what the outlook for the European market is and also European manufacturing. Let's look at the market first. What are you kind of expecting as an organization, and what kind of signal does the market itself, what is Europe saying to international suppliers and global players?
Well, yeah, thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for having me here today. It's good. And we had a really good first day, so I have to say that first. Thanks very much for a very enjoyable first day into solar. Great discussions going on. What is happening in Europe? Well, we've just launched our global market outlook. And if you look into that, you'll find that we're suggesting that, in fact, this year will be slightly worse than last year. In the essence that we don't expect us to reach the same kind of 8.2 gigawatt level that we've seen across Europe. We all know this is driven by the fact that the support schemes for large-scale solar in the UK basically have come to an end. There has been a fairly good pipeline in the first half of the year in the UK realising projects whilst they could still do so. But unfortunately, we don't really see any markets coming up that are replacing it. So right now, outlook for 2016, a little bit less than 2015. Maybe in 2017 we might see a little bit of a spike, but it depends again on how the French tender, the German tenders operate, and also the sort of dark horse of Turkey. Will Turkey actually realise its potential, and will they start building the gigawatts they say they're going to build? So slightly a downturn, maybe a little bit of an upturn next year. That's what we're looking at.
Well, a kind of a light in the end of the tunnel could be the storage market. I'm hearing some phenomenal reports from installers in Germany saying something like upwards of 60% of all residential installations happening today are going in with a battery. This is more revenues. This is a pretty sizable turnover that does in a way flow into the solar ecosystem. What is the potential for solar and for storage, and how are you seeing that?
Well, I think that's actually a really good point as well. I think our figures were suggesting something a bit different. We said last year there was about 40% of new solar installations in Germany, household level, related to the KfW effective loan that was being given for storage. So, of course, storage is driving solar. Now, the question is, how long can that go on? There was a big discussion in Germany about whether or not they would keep that kind of subsidy, that kind of incentive, whichever way you want to look at it, going. And in the end, Sigmar Gabriel decided to keep it going. In a way, it's needed to make sure that the storage market can keep developing. But of course, as long as we have storage, we're going to have solar. People see it as a natural combination. And I think, if you buy a new house today, I'm pretty sure that you, Jonathan, will also put solar and storage together because it's becoming affordable. I think we have to make sure that we are able to make and maintain a market for storage which also supports solar. I think in some ways in SolarPower Europe what we're looking at is trying to develop the right market conditions and market framework for solar and storage to grow together. This year we launched our storage task force, and it's been very successful in getting people to rush in and drive an agenda. Perhaps we can push the policymakers and bankers to make them understand how solar and storage together is a great combination that has customer appeal and lets people take control of their own energy future.
Well, I mentioned right at the start European manufacturers. Yes. A lot of them are here. It tends to be more on the module assembly level, but we're hearing mixed reports about how they're faring in today's market. I imagine they're your members as well. Some of them are your members as well. What are they telling you about how they're faring in a highly competitive and, as you say, shrinking market?
Well, I think that's actually the key point you made at the very end there. It's very hard for all of the manufacturers along the value chain, I mean not just the module assemblers, but people all the way from polysilicon, fabs and equipment, all the way down to people who are doing balance of systems. When you have a market that is relatively stagnant, it's difficult to make money, and margins are of course the key elements that you'll see and the pressure and the price pressure that's put on them. So in general, of course, it's quite difficult for manufacturers in Europe at the moment, but I think that there is the opportunity that can be seen with the potentiality of some markets that are coming up like France, Germany, and maybe beyond these shores. There is virgin territory very close to the European Union, so you've got North Africa, you've got Sub-Saharan Africa, you've got the Middle East, then you've got towards India. There's great opportunities for our various types of manufacturers to go support those countries to develop their solar systems and really be able to maybe take advantage of some of the opportunities that lie within. Just to say at the end of that, we actually have a very good conference tomorrow with one of our partners, RECP. We'll be looking at the opportunities for solar in Africa. For us, this is a key part of the work that we're doing now. You've got to look a little bit overseas as well as focus on this European market. If you just focus on this European market, it's going to be difficult to make money in the long term. That's what I would say for the module manufacturers, for the manufacturers in general. Diversification is key.
Okay, well, it is party time now. It is heading to the evening, and you might be able to hear the clinking of bottles in the background and drifts of smoke passing by us in the background.
Scream.
Yeah, indeed, of the solar industry letting its hair down a little bit. But there may also be cause for celebration from SolarPower Europe's point of view, because as I understand, the transition from EPIA to SolarPower Europe is some way through the cycle now, and that membership is growing, and that the organization is finding its feet. What can you tell me about that in terms of your membership numbers and where you're heading?
Well, there are two elements that I want to make on the celebratory point. Of course, we are doing very nicely in SolarPower Europe. We're seeing a lot of people rallying to our cause. Of course, we think this is partly because we're offering a new kind of value proposition for members. The task forces I mentioned before, things like storage, operations and maintenance guidelines will be launched tomorrow. So we grew, I think when I took over, we were around about 95 members. Today we're 150. This is a very, very good story in about 2 years' time. So we are very happy about that. But it's not about us, it's about the whole sector. And Europe has just reached a landmark of 100 gigawatts. 100 gigawatts installed solar, first continent to do so. An unbelievable story of success. Of course, we now have to build the next 100, just put that in there. We want to celebrate that on the 29th of September in Brussels. There will be a very large party for the entire solar family. We're really looking forward to celebrating this great achievement. The Vice President of the European Commission will be there to make an opening speech to say how valuable solar is in the energy mix of Europe today. And I think you really can say solar in general is having a very successful time at the moment.
Okay, well, James Watson, the CEO of SolarPower Europe. Everyone else is letting their hair down, so let's do the same. Thanks so much for your time.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks very much, Jonathan.
My pleasure.
Bye.